All right, family, going to begin right there. So the transitioning of Miss Aretha Franklin created a void. And what I got very strongly as I connected with her was that this was a passing or a transitioning of the natural woman, which again is what she embodied, what she expressed through her music, and not only her music, but her life, her actual life experiences. And this song, Natural Woman, as we said, expressed, as well as many of her songs, expressed or illustrated the difficulties of the natural woman and natural man woman relationships. But this is a new day. This is this her transition, and this is what I was very strongly impressed upon me, that her transition represented a passing of a certain energetic signature that has influenced our women and women in general and created, as she said, an energetic void. Her transition represented the transition of the natural woman. The natural woman has left the earth plane, that signature, which creates a void. And we know that nature, it is said, abhors a vacuum. So something else has to fill that in. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
And what will fill it in is the organic woman. The organic woman, natural again being that which is relegated to and under the influence of the low frequency field of dominance, the false matrix. And we were all under that influence, including Miss Franklin. Although the nature, the, the power that she had emanated from the organic woman. Are you all with me? Which is
Yeah.
divinity, which is divinity.
Hey,
But again, she always was referred to as Miss Aretha Franklin, singular. She was single. She never did achieve that union from an organic standpoint of the divine feminine and masculine. And she sang about that and she lamented about that. Are you all with me?
Uh-huh.
So the word that she gave me was void. And we're still exploring this topic, finding grace in the eyes of the Lord. Okay. But in that particular, this particular paper, um, all I did was put in the word void, and I can begin the class teaching from just following the word void and teaching the science that we have been emphasizing, Nasi, from this point on.
Mm-hmm.
So the first mention, even in the scriptures, of the word void is in Genesis 1 and 2. And I'm
One
going
and
to read,
two.
and the earth was without form and void,
And
and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And then that void was filled, correct?
mm-hmm.
That what was without form took form, correct?
Right.
So what we want to do here, we're going to follow this. But now see, this goes so far and so high and so wide and so
I
deep.
I see it. I see it.
We're not going to even be able to cover this. I just got to find, a place to start, and this was a place to start. And somehow she knew that. She just said, go in there, just fit me in when you talk about void. So Miss Aretha Franklin's transition, and this was a divine energy that transitioned out. The Queen of Soul transitioned out, creating a void. And that void was specifically what went out was the natural woman. What must come in,
Yeah,
family, is the organic woman.
organic woman.
And
Right.
this is the divine feminine that we've been focusing on. And the timing was perfect. The
Perfect.
timing was perfect. So I'm just going to hit void again and allow it to carry us through. And here's the science of it, because this has to do ultimately with our ascension. And I did a section, which this was what I was working on. Now, see, this is specifically what I was working on. The ascension, the number 40, the Messiah energy, and Mem, that's the Hebrew letter Mem, the 13th Hebrew letter. Now remember, it's the 13th Hebrew letter. Miss Franklin was 76 years of age when she passed. 7 and 6 is 13. Natural Woman came out in 67. 6 and 7 is 13. That Christ energy, the messianic Christ energy, the letter Mem, okay? The letter Mem. And we'll get into it a little bit here. The awakening, resurrection, precedes the ascension. Now remember, we discovered that in our last couple of classes, Nasi,
Mm-hmm.
and that this is essential. And many uh, belief systems and religions, they, although this principle is clear to see that when we talk about ascension, we bypass the awakening, which precedes
Right.
the ascension.
Right.
So we want to follow this and this word void, and we're going to get right out in front of it here. Every time one finds the number 40 in the Torah or in the scriptures, its inner meaning, listen, its inner meaning is the ascent from one level to the next higher level. Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing, family?
Absolutely.
We're endeavoring to ascend from one level to the next higher level. Natural
Okay.
natural woman represents us under the low frequency field of dominance. So the natural woman transitioning and leaving means that we must what? Ascend from one level to the next higher one. All
Got a
right?
shift.
All right. See, this fits into exactly, perfectly what we were talking about. We get a new mission at 40, but the attainment, listen, however, the attainment of a higher level can come only after first reaching and fulfilling all the aspects of the previous level, and thus creating what? A vacuum or a void, empty space, to allow for the emergence of something new entirely. Y'all got to see that something on a higher level is occurring.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
She said,
Okay.
she said her transitioning as the natural woman is leaving a void. And the void, this creating of a vacuum or an empty space, allows for the emergence of something entirely new. And relative to Miss Franklin, the natural woman, the emergence of something entirely new is the organic woman. Are you all seeing this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So she said, just follow the word void. It's going to lead you into the study, what you all have already been talking about. So we're just going to follow it here, creating this empty space to allow for the emergence of something new entirely. So let us understand this topic, the ascension, the number 40, the Messiah, Christ energy, and Mem, the 13th Hebrew letter. 13 being, again, the Christ energy, that transcendent energy. You had the 12 disciples, which represented 12, always represents natural order, natural governance. 13 indicates the emergence of something new entirely, the Christ energy, the organic reality, as opposed to the natural reality. 12 hours in a day, 12 months, 12 months in a year, etc., and so on. It means the governance of the natural world, being under the governance or influence under the natural world or the low frequency field of dominance. Mathematically speaking, 40 is 4 times 10. And remember, we talked about that number 10 before being very important in the last class. And that number 10 relates to the Christ as well, correct? The number 10,
Okay.
okay, let's carry this on. The number 10 denotes the unity, fusion, or synthesis of separate parts or elements. The number 10 denotes the union, fusion, or synthesis of separate parts or elements. Miss Aretha Franklin never found that unity, sang about it, never found that synthesis on a natural level, family. This is evident in the fact that the single number 10 is comprised of 2 digits, a 1 and a 0. The separate digits 0 and 1 are unified, fused, or synthesized into a single number 10. In a recent study, we pointed out that the ancient Pythagorean philosophers believed the number 10, here it is, which they called the tetrachus, was their most sacred number. We learned that according to Greek gematria, the number value of the Greek numerals that spelled Jesus Christ, again, this Christ or messianic energy, generated the tetrachus, or number 10, and all the powers of 10 in 3 different alphabets. The product of the letters I and X that stand for Jesus Christ, that's in Greek, have a number value in the Attic Greek, Ionic Greek, and Roman alphabets, all the powers of 10. And we see that located in this table here. Continuing on. The numbers 4 and 40 signify completion or fullness. If you're taking notes, write that down. The numbers 4 or 40 signify completion or fullness. Likewise, the numbers 7 and 70 signify completion and fullness. So why is the number 40 so important? Why is this number so often associated with a prophetic duration of time in the scriptures? Here we go, Nasi.
I hear you.
When we focus in on human procreation, listen, on human procreation, and childbirth, that is, incarnation into the physical material space-time matrix, as well as what the God of the Bible has to say relative to childbirth, a clear understanding begins to develop. Talking about this divine feminine and how it relates to the natural woman. Unto the natural woman, he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. Now listen, I want you all to hear, I want you to hear this. It says,
Mm-hmm.
I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception,
Go on, Eitai.
and in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. Both in conception, which has to do with male female relationships, correct?
Yeah,
That there would be a
yeah.
sorrow that would be
Yeah,
associated with that, and also a sorrow in bringing forth children. This sorrow in conception is what Miss Franklin spent her life singing about.
Right.
Now, in some songs, she sang about the joy of that conception in all areas, but expressed that sorrow. All right? And the desire shall be to thy husband. This is this desire that we talked about, this longing, this desire, Nasi, that she spoke about. This desire to be united organically with a man.
Right. Right.
But the fact is, the masculine in vertical integration, in the vertically integrated low frequency field of dominance family, the man, the patriarchal, ruled over the woman. And this is the cause,
Right.
all of that is the cause of sorrow. All of that is the cause of sorrow. And sorrow is what? A low frequency, a low frequency emotion, is it not?
Absolutely.
So it said that this sorrow, Nasi, would be greatly multiplied. It would be progressively multiplied up until the end. And we find ourselves in that position currently. Man and the natural man and woman cannot and will not get together. They'll never unify. And we
Never unified.
and we see these relations at their absolute worst. At their
That's
absolute
profound.
worst. And I don't have to speak on that. All you got to do is check most women's experience. Check their lives
No, no.
and see if it don't look and sound like and walk and talk like a sad Aretha Franklin song.
It's verifiable.
absolutely.
The implicit Listen now, the implicit pain and infirmity that women would endure in the process of conception and childbirth is expressed in the allegorical narrative above. Um, as expressed in the allegorical narrative above was to illustrate the inherently was to illustrate the inherently imperfect. Write that down. Write the word down. Write the word imperfect down, and also write the word unperfect. I know it's not grammatically correct, but it's in the Bible. We decoding it all now. See here.
Yes,
Write the
sir.
word imperfect down and write the word unperfect. We might not even get to it today, but trust me, we'll get to it. It was to illustrate the inherently imperfect, unperfect, and essentially flawed nature of human reproduction and incarnation. The intrinsically flawed and defective process would therefore, from a physical, biological standpoint, bring about a state of impurity, uncleanliness, and separation. Am I
Wow.
speaking to somebody?
Yes, yes.
In a woman who has conceived and given birth. Follow me, family.
Yeah.
Of course, from a holistic, top down perspective, childbirth and the pain and sorrow associated with it is directly related to divinity's incomplete, flawed, and imperfect emanation. Downward, downward. It would be greatly multiplied, family. Downward into the physical material space time realm. Consequently, a period of separation, purification, sacrifice, and atonement is required. Is anybody hearing me?
Absolutely. I
Dang.
hear you.
Thus, the scriptures state in Leviticus 12, 2-7, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a woman have conceived seed and born a man child, listen to this, family,
That's right. That's right.
then she shall be
Wow.
unclean 7 days, 7 and 4 number of completion. According to the
Yeah.
days, according to what? The days of separation. For her infirmity, she shall be unclean. This is all the reason that these things are being presented here is to indicate, family, the imperfection of humanity from a top
Powerful.
down, from a holistic top down perspective.
Yes.
And when in the eighth day, we in the eighth day, y'all,
Day. Right.
the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. Off with the old, on with the new.
Yeah.
Then she shall and she shall then continue in the blood of her purifying 3 and 30 days. So you got the week, which is 7 days, plus 33 days gives you
40
what?
days.
40 days.
40 days.
That's completion. Now understand, family, we're talking about a much broader concept, much higher
Yes.
concept than just
Right.
childbirth. Than just
Absolutely. Eitai.
childbirth. These 40 days, Nasig, represent the 40 years, which will be
Yeah.
up next year from 16.
Right.
I'm sorry, the 4,000,
5400.
the 400 years rather, the 400 years, excuse me.
Right.
Again, 40 times 10, the 400
Right.
years that will be
Right.
up in 2019.
Right.
And it has to do with us getting our inheritance back. Now see,
Yes, sir.
they was clowning us 40 acres and a mule.
Right.
She shall touch no hallowed, no haloed, no whole thing. You're not going to be able to have a whole relationship
Right.
in the natural world. You will be missed from the day that you are born. I don't care if you have husband and children. To the day, there's no organic unification. Nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purification be fulfilled. But if she bear a maid child, Then she shall be unclean, what? Twice as long.
80 days.
14 days as in her separation, and she will continue in the blood of her purifying 66. That's 66 days plus 14 gives you what? 80 days. Twice as
80
long.
days.
That feminine had to stay, now see, locked down twice as long.
Absolutely.
Because it reached the bottom first. It humbled itself first, fell first, and reached the bottom first. We're going to explain that. Y'all should already know what that means, but we'll explain it further. This is what we were talking about yesterday, Nasi.
Right, Eitai.
And when the days of her purifying are fulfilled for a son or for a daughter, she shall bring a lamb of the first year for the burnt offering, and, look, family, a young pigeon. We're going to talk about this. Or a turtle dove. This is all coded language for a sin offering unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, unto the priest, who shall offer it before the Lord and make an atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the issue of blood. This is the law for her that hath borne a male or a female. This process of incarnation, of falling through the yoni, represents the lowest end of the descent, family. The lowest end of the descent. You all will get this. Of that downward plunge or plummet. Counting the days required for purification after childbirth, we find a total of 40 days for the male child and 80 days, for twice as long for the female. Additionally, 40 days represents the time period, listen, required for an embryo to attain human form. Now listen to this. You got to be very careful now. Now see, we got to be thinking of the inversion here.
Right.
According to Jewish law, an embryo does not have any status as a human being until 40 days after conception. That is
Right.
inverted perception, as if assuming human form, that is, incarnating, is a positive thing. It is not. It is evidence of the downward plunge or plummet into hell, family. This concept is also reflected in the purview of modern science, since it is commonly held that the human embryo begins to assume recognizable human form around the 40th day after conception. This also helps explain why the Genesis flood during the time of Noah lasted 40 days. According to mainstream traditional religious interpretations, the sin that brought forth the flood was sexual immorality. Isn't that what we were taught?
That's what we were taught.
According to the Jewish Midrash, Accordingly, rather, the Jewish Midrash posits that the flood lasted 40 days because the people of the generation, quote, perverted the embryo that is formed in 40 days. Now, that is really deep on a lot of levels, but we're not going to go into it right now. We will return to it. We will return to that. Now, I want to show you all something. It mentioned Noah's Ark. And this is what we're going to get into. Do you all see this top view of Noah's Ark? It is a reproduction that they said probably was the closest to uh, building a seaworthy vessel, according to the narrative. According to the narrative. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
Now we know that Noah ain't took all types of species of animals, hundreds of species of dogs and cats, male and female, and put them in no physical vessel like this. Ain't no way that happened. This is allegorical, family. The 2x2 in the ark represents the union of the divine union of male and female within the yoni. Within the yoni. Doesn't that look like the yoni?
Yes, it does.
See, this is what we're going to focus on. This is what we're going to focus on, family. Because this is what we have to, that Nasi was the power that was innervated, the divine feminine.
Right. Right.
Do y'all see it? The top view, and it looks like the yoni. The top view of the ark. The top view of the Ark of Noah. Follow me now. Now we're going to back up and we're going to look at this fall or descent or plummet of the divine feminine into the natural or physical dimensions, into natural or physical proportions. As the goddess Sophia, that represents the divine feminine, dreamed, it said, now she dreamed, all right? She dreamed. Here come Aretha, Miss Franklin, again, all right? This is Miss Franklin again. As Sophia dreamed, come on now.
Daydreaming and I'm thinking of you. 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 Look at my heart, floating
As Sophia dreamed. This is science, family. This is science. The queen left us this. I'm going to connect it all up. As Sophia or Miss Aretha dreamed, it is said that she fell further into the void and awoke within a nightmare. As her impact on the outer veil, that is the waters below, led to the emergence of inorganic elements, meaning natural elements, named archons, Yaldabaoth being supreme among them. The Gnostic say that the archons circled and swooned around the chaotic field that were formed by Sophia's fall into the kinoma or the void, her coma. Is this making sense? According to this myth, the world we inhabit is created through thought, region of matter made manifest, and material things. It was the land of shadows, shadow and darkness, a place where perception and deception would coexist to form our reality. According to the Gnostic text, Sophia eventually took physical form as Gaia, the original Earth, Mother Earth, and her daughter is called Zoe, imagination. What do you do when you daydream, family, but imagine? Are you all with me?
Absolutely.
The kind of guy that would say, hey baby, let's get away and let's go someplace where I don't care. He's the kind of guy that you give you everything and trust your heart, share all of your love till death do you part. I wanna be what he wants when he wants it and whenever he needs it. And when his ultimate feeling love stopped, I'll be there to feed it. I'm loving him a little bit more each day. Turns me right on when I hear him say, "Hey, baby, let's get away, let's go somewhere far. Baby, to me, why
That is Mother Earth expressing Zoe, imagination, daydreaming. This is going to be important to it was an important element in the fall. In the descent is going to be an important element in the rise. This the fullness of all the aspects of this feminine energy must arise in order for us to ascend. Now, see, does it make sense?
Say that again, that last point. Could you repeat it?
The essential element in our rise is going to be imagination,
Absolutely, yeah.
which is an aspect of this feminine energy, which, Miss Franklin expressed so well there, so well,
Right.
and expressed the longing for the unification, which she would never, as the natural woman, which she would never achieve. And as a matter of fact, no natural woman would generally speaking, while the demiurge and the archons are using their replica Earth matrix, that is the natural Earth family, that is the natural Earth, this replica Earth matrix, using their electromagnetic bodies known as the planets and suns, an illusionary construct was made to perfectly mimic the original Earth reality. So here's where we get the dichotomy between what is natural, the natural woman, and what is organic, the organic woman, and the organic Earth. The Gnostics say humanity is caught between two realities, the original Earth and the original Earth experiences, and the one created out of what the Gnostics call Hall, forged by its creator, quote, end quote, the demiurge, or the god of Genesis fame. So we see the arc here that looks like the yoni or the vagina. And we want to go into the science of this within the next 45 minutes to an hour or so, because laying down this aspect of divine femininity as expressed in the physical form is going to enlighten everything that we've ever known about the Bible and the Genesis narrative. It is all about what we just read. The divine feminine falling into the physical material realms of space-time, and then becoming the natural earth, the organic earth, which a replica by means of this fall, a corresponding natural representation of earth and of earth and of the organic earth experience would be created also. That replica is what we've been under the influence of, and we've become natural men and natural women. The awakening is our awareness of this. The resurrection is our ascending into our divine role, into our divine form. And as we stated last time, that when we read this article, Twin Energy Activations and Sacred Divine Soul Union Partnership, that sex is going to be a huge part of this awakening process, as well as the ascension process. We're not going to go back over the article, but what I will do is I want to give you all the symbols, share with you all the symbols that are in the scriptures, especially, along with the corresponding scripture verses that talk about the divine feminine. Because, as we stated before, that from a physical, biological, anatomical, as well as energetic standpoint, the female being, the female body has been chosen by the Creator to be the portal between the spiritual realm and this physical realm. Think about it. As we incarnate, we come through the female body, each and every one of us, from a physical, biological standpoint. And that has been the extent of our understanding. But we have not understood that is a natural process. We have not understood the organic or energetic process that underlies that. And the fact that the energetic process, as we were born into imperfection, that we must take the same route out of imperfection, not physically, but energetically. So we have to understand this energetic principle of the divine feminine, of the yoni, of the vagina, of this procreative organ, this procreative organ. The only force on earth powerful enough to navigate unborn spirits into this planet. When we see, of course, the downward pointing chevron or the downward pointing triangle. It represents the divine feminine, specifically the yoni, which is referred to as the chalice, the upward pointing delta, or the upward pointing chevron or triangle, represents the divine masculine, or the dagger, the sword, the staff. All right, all of those terms. And you'll see those terms again throughout the scriptures. But we want to follow this feminine because it's very important that we get to this. Bear with me, family. We'll begin here. Proverbs 10:12. We're going to use this painting by Robert Blake because it is so full of esoteric symbols that it's a good place to start. And we're going to begin at Proverbs 10:12. Arise, O Lord, lift up thine hand, forget not the humble. Well, from an energetic standpoint, an organic standpoint, as well as from a physical standpoint, a natural standpoint, it was the feminine that humbled herself in the descent, primarily. Now remember that both masculine and feminine are located or inherent within the feminine. So when we talk about the feminine, we're talking about both masculine and feminine from what? A holistic, top-down perspective. So this is the way that we're viewing Proverbs 10:12. And it says, Arise, O Lord, lift up thine hand, forget not the humble. Now, this is what is represented in the William Blake photo. The hand over the head, the palm of the hand over the crown of the head of the feminine, and the feet of the feminine over the body of the unconscious masculine, or the comatose masculine, or the slumbering or sleep masculine. This representation was designed esoterically to express the plumb line, the angle, the downward angle of descent of the feminine being humbled into the physical realm, from the divine realm to the physical realm. 1 Peter 5:6, humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of God, that he might exalt you in due time. This encompasses this process that has taken millennia, hundreds and thousands of millennia to occur. This humbling, this descent of the divine feminine into the utter depths, plunging into the utter depths of physicality. And we demonstrated this the other day by taking this figure and depressing it all the way down. It means energetically the divine feminine fell and fell from the crown of the head to the sole of the feet. This is allegorical, symbolic language that I'm using that's going to help us comprehend what it is that we're putting on view today, this divine feminine. So we see the plumb line, and we see it represented by the downward pointing triangle. as well as the downward pointing chevron, and it is shaped, the plummet, as is represented here, is shaped like this downward pointing triangle, has the shape. Note the plumb line or plummet above can also simulate or symbolize a fish hook as well. So the descent of the divine feminine is also illustrated in Isaiah 47, and it gives us more information to understand and decode these symbols, these divine symbols. Isaiah 47, and I believe that's 47 and 1. I'll check that. Come down and sit in the dust, O daughter of Babylon, divine feminine. Sit down on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. So, again, from the crown of the head, the hand of God, and again, the hand signal, symbol represented here, being what? Compressed down energetically into the sole of the feet. And it is represented by the woman and the man, but the woman in this case, sitting in the lotus position. And understand, the soles of the feet and the heel corresponding now to the yoni, or the root chakra. This is very important, family, that we grasp this. Moving forward, Lamentations. How hath the Lord covered the daughter of Zion, concealed her, concealed the divine feminine, with a cloud in his anger, and cast down from heaven unto the earth the beauty of Israel. So it talks about the divinity of the organic woman being transformed into the natural woman in her descent, and remembered not his footstool in the day of his anger. So very important. The foot we're going to see being another symbol of the divine yoni, or the vagina, or the reproductive power of the divine feminine. So let's take a look at this graphically first before we get into a really deep teaching on that. Let's take a look at the hand in esoteric art as well, because the hand of God and the foot and the yoni are essentially the same thing. This is why they are seen together symbolically, even in the scriptures. The hand of God, the mighty hand of God, humbling, and that same hand exalting. See, if we think in terms of God, traditionally, we have that inversion process traditionally shows God as a man, and that the man humbled the woman, or the masculine humbled. It's not true. The divine feminine humbled herself. That is how our ancestors pictured this in ancient times. And as she humbled herself, she is going to lift herself up as well. But from a natural standpoint, we're going to aid one another. So looking at this hand as well, The hand represents the alchemical symbol of what is called apotheosis. Apotheosis. Listen, the transformation of man into God. Well, we know that this same hand transformed the divine God into the form of man or woman, right? That's what we looked at. So this symbol, and you see over the fingers, you see these different symbols. The crown, the star, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-pointed star, the sun, a lamp or a lantern, and the key over each finger. All of this will be explained, but we're just taking a look at the symbols and getting used to them. In the palm of the hand, you see this fish, all right? You see this fish that is apparently glowing with this cosmic or this divine fire. Under the fish, if you notice closely, very closely, is another key symbol, 4 X's or 4 tens. 4 X's or 4 tens along the length of the fish's body, starting at the head, moving past the head to the lower extremities and to the tail. All of this means something. It's represented in scriptures in different ways, but we're going to use this as a teaching primer so that we are, this thing has been concealed now. Remember, it says in the scripture that the daughter of Zion was covered with a cloud, correct? So the understanding of the divine feminine was made obscure and put in these different symbols. So we're going to familiarize ourselves with the symbols and unify these things and get a perfect understanding. Use them to give a perfect understanding. So again, in the middle symbol, you see the same fish emblazoned, all right? The same symbols over the fingers, the same 4 X's under the fish. This is going to tell a story. And you see surrounding this a winged disc, actually 4 winged discs with an eye in the middle. Going on to the next one, the keys that are crossed now over the symbol of the hand with a triangle made of 3 bones in the middle of the hand, and instead of the fish, you have the eye. Above a candlestick with 2 vine leaves, and the hand represented in a keyhole. All of these are the same thing, family. All of them represent, just like the Ark of Noah, as we're going to see, the same. The Ark of Noah is simply.
Now, Eitai,
Let me finish.
does it mean anything?
Let me finish. Let me finish the sentence. The Ark of Noah, shaped like the yoni, is the ship that Jonah or Yonah got into when he was fleeing the Lord. He went into the lower depths of the ship. All right, it's all the same story. and we're going to decode it. Go right ahead, Amaria.
Looking at the hand, does it mean anything where one is the two of them are right hand and the other left? Does that mean anything?
No, it doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. So the alchemical symbol of apotheosis, the transformation of God into man, is traditionally represented by an image of a hand with other symbols, including skulls, crowns, stars, fish, keys, lanterns, astrological symbols, and the all-seeing eye. The hand of mysteries, which is what that is called. Now remember, we said that it was the reason why it's mysterious or concealed is that the divine feminine was what? Covered with a cloud, made obscure, hidden, for a point in time that it would be revealed. The hand of mysteries goes by many other names, including the hand of the master mason, hand of the philosopher, the emblematic hand of mysteries. It is said that the hand holds the keys to divinity. Hear me. The hand holds the keys to divinity. We're going to know exactly how that is, but we have to learn these things as they're given to us, family. Seek no other meaning. Seek no other meaning. Just hear me, and I'll lay this thing out. And is used as an invitation to discover great secrets. To discover the great secrets. And the secrets, family, just to simplify this, all have to do with the divine feminine. Understanding this power that is within all of us and learning how to activate it and to apply it in both the awakening process and the resurrection or the ascension process. We see this symbol combined in this triangle here with the eye in the middle of the triangle as well. All right? Moving on. Bear with me. Here we are. Psalms 139. Psalms 139. We're going to have to get each of us a biology lesson, but not from a natural standpoint. We have to understand the divine bodies that we have as well. I'll use Psalm 139 as an entryway. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be light about me. Yea, the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee. For thou hast possessed my reins, thou hast covered me, listen, in my mother's womb. Very important. I praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are all thy works, and my soul knoweth right well. My substance was not hid from thee, when I was made in secret, and curiously wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. The lowest parts of the earth. the lowest parts of the earth. Thine eyes did see my substance, yet, listen, being unperfect. This is what we referred to earlier. Imperfection as a result of our imperfect what? Emanation within, into the physical material space-time realm. So everything would be unperfect, imperfect, and especially as it related to things that are associated with our humanity, things that are associated with our humanity. From a top-down standpoint, holistic, they are unperfect, simply because they are dualistic, male and female. And in thy book, all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. Now, this last translation is all wrong. Is all wrong. And our ancestors did this rendering to keep us from knowing exactly what it is that this thing, that this scripture verse was talking about, to keep us from it until this time. When you go back and look at it, and we will, it is talking about, although we were imperfect, we were fashioned in continuance, as, doesn't say as yet there was none of them. It says, when as yet we were one. We were one. It doesn't say none. I'm going to show you all. See, none would be not one, correct? It would be lo echad, right? Any Hebrew people familiar with Hebrew on here? None would be lo echad, not one, correct? Anybody on familiar with Hebrew?
And Eitai, you're right, lower card.
Okay, now see, watch this. Watch this. That last
Okay.
little verse in uh, verse 16, that last bit, you see the word velo here in parentheses.
Right.
It's not in there. That means it's not in there, that they put it in there.
I'm clear. Right.
That is talking about our holistic nature, echad. And it says, let's see, it says yomim, in the days, even in the days, yomim, that we were fashioned as not lo echad, as one holistic being.
Yeah. Now that's what chapters this is?
This is Psalms 139 and 16.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Y'all can see the word lo, velo, and that they put it in there. That's not the original text. So we use that as a lead-in to show this imperfect nature, how it corresponds. But there is a wisdom to how we are put together, that natural science, the natural sciences and natural medicine, and correspondingly your education through the compulsory educational system and your conditioning and programming would leave this out. We said how in sitting down in the dust, that the daughter of Zion sat in the lotus position, which anatomically put the foot or the sole of the foot in correspondence with the yoni, all right, in the lotus position. And we're going to see that the heel and the sole of the foot corresponds to gender or sexuality, your particular sexuality. We've gone over this before when we talked about the manipulation of the heel, the grasping of the heel to create the aberrant man and aberrant woman. But we can look and see that the foot, the bottom of the foot, specifically the heel, corresponds to the ovaries in a woman and the vulva and the testes or the penis in a man, the reproductive organs. And again, we see
Eitai, being a reflexologist, that demonstrates also the number of meridians that are directly related to the energy that's in your body.
That's what we're going to cover right now. That the anatomy of the foot, the heel corresponding to the root chakra, the arch corresponding to the sacral chakra. No, I'm sorry. The back of the heel corresponding to the root chakra, the bottom of the foot corresponding to the sacral chakra, the arch, which the Bible refers to as the arch of heaven, the arch of the heaven, referring to the solar chakra, the ball of the foot, the heart chakra, the beginning of the big toe corresponding to the throat chakra, the front part of the big toe, the pineal gland or the pineal chakra, and the top of the big toe to corresponding to the crown chakra. So what we want to do is we're saying that this correspondence is anatomical. We're saying that the scriptures show it to us vividly. It's shown to us in esoteric art, but it's simply going through all that to show you that as the divine feminine and masculine plummeted or plunged into the realms of the physical, into time space, that the top of the head or the crown went down to the feet and corresponded to it. So our physical bodies reflect that. Are you all with me? Our physical bodies reflect that. It reflects the plunge and the plummet because these energies correspond to one another. Come sit down in the dust. All right? The beauty of Israel, the divine feminine, has become the footstool. The footstool, again, when you look at the definition, it's H7270 in the Strong's Concordance, and refers to the pudina or the pudenda rather, or the pudendum, which is the external genitals, especially that of a woman. Now we're going to, as we close, we're going to put these things together so that we have a foundation and a starting place to begin tomorrow. Yaldabaoth, the demiurge, being a god of the material, the social, and the psychic order, it was not possible for him to be the teacher of the higher mysteries. In other words, that it's saying that under the influence of the low frequency field of dominance, that we would not be permitted, it would not be possible to be taught or to teach the higher mysteries, generally speaking. And Sophia, again, that's the divine feminine, was dismayed by his wrath, anger, and jealousy. So when he created the first human beings, she was there, and secretly, without his knowing, they're telling this story in anthropomorphic, allegorical form. She gave them the gift of the Holy Spirit as a divine spark. So if you're taking notes, write down divine spark. In every human heart. But the Father God, Yaldabaoth, discovering that this secret teaching was disturbing his supremacy in the lower realms, taking energy away from the low frequency field of dominance, grew angry and cast them out of the garden within the allegory and into the suffering world. Yet each and every one of us has this spark of potential to recover the true gnosis. Listen, our sexual energy is the divine spark or ember, that fragment of divinity that we were permitted to retain in our headlong, protracted plunge into the lesser low frequency realms of division, duality, density, humanity, etc. This divine spark is what Miss Aretha Franklin knew was there, but that would not be united through the interaction, the natural interaction of male-female human relationships. Is everybody hearing me? The spark was there, but it was not going to be united until a certain period of time, until we would have reached the ultimate depth of that plumb line, of that plummet, of that plunge, of that fall. So Miss Franklin sang about the longing and the desire of this spark being united. And she did that with feeling and emotion, and really, really communicated that sonically. This divine spark of sexual energy of the foot, that is the soul, S-O-L-E, which is represented by the fish in the palm, or the soul, the pudendum can be utilized as a pilot light, family, which initiates the divine fire, which in turn gives rise to the Kundalini serpent energy within. And that is what we see illustrated here, in that we see that fire is raging under the serpent, correct? Because that divine inner spark of the Holy Spirit, quote, end quote, is within all of us. And it causes that serpent to rise and return to the divine position, which is represented as the hand in the clouds, or the hand of God, that originally did what? Repressed or compressed that divine energy into the lower realms and ultimately to its lowest state energetically. So it serves as a pilot light. A pilot light. Listen, the word pilot is one who steers a ship. One who steers a ship. Y'all see the Noah's Ark? Follow me now. One who steers a ship. From the Italian piloto. The old Italian pedotto, which usually is said to be from the medieval pedotes, rudder, helmsman, pedon, steering oar, related to pous or pudos, foot, head, foot. Are you all seeing it? It also says, and this is going to get us into some really heavy things. It also says that in the Latin, it parallels that in that it refers to odor or the olfactory glands. This is going to be all made perfectly clear because this is going to lead us, family, into a more expansive, broader, and higher and deeper holistic perspective that is related to odor or the sense of smell. It says, see lachrymose also. Lachrymose means tear-like. So we have the sense of smell, odor, olfactory, related to this foot, or which is symbolically the pudenda, right? The yoni. We know that the tear-like or teardrop is the same shape of this ship, correct? It's the same shape as the yoni. It's the same shape as the eye. It's the same shape. Follow me. All right? Just follow me. So it says tear-like, meaning sorrowful or weeping, causing tears. So this is related to the eye. We're going to go back and go through all of this. The reason I'm being hesitant on this because it is so vast. This subject is it's what the whole scripture is about. So I have to stay on a narrow path to show you all the narrow path. So again, this word lachrymose or tear-like is related to not only the sight of the eye, but the smell of the nose. All right? Odor. So we might be wondering, man, what is this talking about? It also has to do with pulchritude, which is feminine beauty, and sepulcher. Sepulcher, pulchritude, feminine beauty, where it says that the beauty of the house of Israel was what? Cast down from heaven. This is going to all make sense. The beauty of Israel, cast down from heaven unto the earth. All of it is going to make sense because our ancestors did this. So it has to do with beauty as well, which is right in line with what we've been talking about. It also has to do with a sepulcher or grave. And we're going to find out that the womb or the yoni is also symbolized as a sepulcher. And in the scriptures, specifically as one that is hewn out of the rock. It is we've heard the term cleft of the rock, correct? Cleft of the rock. And that Yeshua was put into a grave that was hewn out of a rock, and then a rock rolled over it. Are you all with me? So first, we'll look at this in terms of the eye as being tear-like, all right? Because that is where the tears come from in the eye. And we said that the word in Hebrew, ma'or, which means lights, ma'or, which means light or lights, literally means water light, a place of light that also water comes out of. And we know that the eye is a light organ as well, and water comes out of it. But as we'll find out, it refers not only to the eye or the eyes in the head above, that women also, anatomically speaking, biologically speaking, have a water light and eye below, which is the vagina, the yoni, or the vulva. All right? Follow me. As we close, the yoni, the vulva, it means the abode or the source, is a stylized representation of the goddess Shakti in Hinduism. Within Shaivism, the sex dedicated to the god Shiva and Shakti symbolizes his consort or complementary polar opposite. The union of the yoni and the lingam and the linga represents the eternal process of creation. Quick side note, the word linga, all right, also refers to the tongue. When you put something under your tongue, what do they call that? Sublingual. Sublingual. So the yoni not only has a representation to the eye, but also the mouth. The mouth. It represents the eternal process of creation and regeneration and all existence. In art and sculpture, this is represented by a cylinder resting in a spouted dish. The yoni is considered to be an abstract representation of Shakti, the divine feminine, and Devi, the creative force that moves through the entire universe. In Hindu philosophy, according to Tantra, yoni is the origin of life. So this is, I'm telling you, this is the real focus of everything that you're going to read about in the narrative of the Bible. Everything. Everything. So, in studying Shaktiism, the yoni is celebrated and worshipped during a festival called Ambuki Mela, an annual fertility festival. Trust me, these people know what they're talking about, and this is connected, as you'll see, with our ancient wisdom. So they talk about this Ambubaki Mela. And I want us to focus in on this one word, Baki, in Ambubaki Mela. And write that down, B-A-C-H-I. Next to that, write down the word Bacchus, B-A-C-C-H-U-S. And next to that, write down Jesus Christ. Baki, Bacchus, and Jesus Christ. All this stuff is going to make sense. I promise you. So they celebrate this Ambubaki Mela fertility festival in June at this place called Assam. And it celebrates the earth's menstruation, or the menstruation of the divine feminine, or the menstruation of Sophia as Gaia. Look, it is a 4-day festival, and I'm fast forwarding through this. I know it's a 4-day festival. Remember, 4 days, the number of completion. It rained 40 days. They were 40 days and 40 nights in the ark. 40 days for a woman to become clean, or to be separated rather, when she has a male child. Twice that for a female child. It's a 4-day festival. Darshan at this temple is performed. This is your worship, darshan, not by sight, as is most temples, but by touch, the divine hand, family. The divine hand. Are you all with me? There is, at this location, a large cleft, a yoni, in the bedrock. The scriptures, watch this. Your scriptures, I'm going to show you how many times they talk about the cleft in the rock. Song of Solomon. O my dove, my turtle dove, my pigeon, my turtle dove, that art in the clefts of the rock, in the secret places of the stairs, let me see thy countenance. Let me hear thy voice, for sweet is thy voice, and thy countenance is comely. I'm going to connect this with the voice in a minute. Go to the clefts of the rocks, and to the tops of the ragged rocks, for the fear of the Lord, for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake the earth terribly. The terribleness hath deceived thee, thy pride in thine heart, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill. Though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith the Lord. The pride of thine heart has deceived thee, that dwellest in the cleft of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? All of this is connected. In the New Testament as well. All right? So this cleft in the rock, which is an actual place in Assam, India, which is a yoni in the bedrock, look, moistened by the water flowing upward from an underground spring. From an underground spring. So when they offer worship, they offer it directly to the goddess, to earth, by touching her and then drinking water, the dew, the wine, the juice from the spring. This is going to all make sense, family, in about 10 minutes when I just show you all something. They receive a tilak and a prasad, and a tilak rather, and prasad. Tilak is a mark on the forehead in the area of the pineal gland. It is painted with a symbol. And prasad is a food mixture for them to eat by an attending priest. Then they light lamps and incense outside of the temple. All right? So The last portion, I'm just going to show you these symbols again. You see the eye in the sky, right? An ancient symbol. The all-seeing eye. It's on the dollar bill. When you turn it to the side, it represents, when you turn it vertically, or you turn it horizontally, however your perspective is on it, it represents the yoni. Perfectly represents the yoni from an anatomical standpoint. Remember, the word pudenda or pudendum is related to the word lachrymose, or tear-like, or producing tear, a tear. Are you all with me? It also is related to the foot. Follow me now. We said that the Maor was the water light was related to the eye, all right? And that there was one above, that there were eyes above and eyes below on the female. The eye below is the vulva or the yoni. And you see anatomically that it is related to the eye above. When you see the top of the eye and look at the top of the vagina, the top of the eye, the water producing or moisture producing element in the eye above is called the lacrimal tear duct. The lacrimal tear duct. In the eye below, it's called the clitoris. Do you all see this? The lacrimal tear duct of the human eye is the correlative anatomical equivalent to the clitoris of the human vagina, the vulva, or the yoni. Not only are both the eye and the vagina tear-like in shape, not only are they tear-like in shape, let me show you the ark, Noah's Ark again. Tear-like in shape. You see at the top where it says the hull pool, Pool, it is located in the exact location as the clitoris, as well as the lacrimal tear duct, and it's called the hull pool. A pool is something that holds water, family. Am I correct? Not only are both the eye and the vagina tear-like in shape, but both each are capable of producing, listen, an abundant flow of water, moisture, or dew. See Shephatol above. When physically irritated, manipulated, or stimulated emotionally. I'm going to give you a chance to let that sink in because it's very important. Not only are both the eye and the vagina, the vulva, the yoni, tear-like in shape, but they each, rather, I put the wrong word, they each are capable of producing an abundant flow of water, moisture, or quote unquote dew. We're going to connect this up. The Shephatol, remember, are the two hands in the position of blessing that Leonard Nimoy made famous, Live Long and Prosper. All of this is connected. I'm going to connect it up, giving you the basics, family, for your consideration. Both are tear-like. Each are capable of producing an abundant flow of water, moisture, or dew. In the case of the yoni is capable of producing not only an abundant flow of moisture or dew, but an abundant flow of seed, an abundant flow of fruit. Hear me now. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Proverbs 18:12. For here we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come. Let me ask somebody here, what is that continuing city that we seek to come according to the scriptures? What is the name of that continuing city, that organic city? That we're hoping will come. What is the name of the organic city in the scriptures?
The promised land?
No, that's a land. What is that? I'm saying
Oh,
what I'm saying. What is the name of the city? The city. You're almost correct. What is the name of the continuing city? Family, y'all should know this.
New Jerusalem.
New Jerusalem.
Jerusalem. Yeah.
Zion, New Jerusalem. Very good. So we're going to, now remember, this is what we're producing now. I'm getting ready to give you all the science, but you're going to have to understand perfectly all of the symbols. This is why I've gone on this kind of rambling, seemingly disjointed journey showing you the symbols. I'm going to synthesize all of them in the science. For we have no continuing city in this natural world, but we seek one, an organic city, to come, which you properly designated as New Jerusalem. By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to God continually. I'm going to show you the science of this. That is the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to his name. So the yoni, again, is capable of producing not only this moisture or dew, but it is capable of producing seed as well as fruit. All right. This scripture, Hebrews 13, is talking about the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to his name. This is science, family. Do not look at this literally as you some worshiper that is going to start giving praise in order to get something from. That's the way that we were taught. That's the old paradigm. This is science. I'm going to break it down to you. But to do good and to communicate, that is the fruit of the lips, giving thanks to his name. Yud He Vav He. 4 elements. Completion. We're going to break the science down, family. But do good to communicate. Forget not, for with such sacrifices, your higher self, your subconscious, is well pleased. Behold, Exodus 17:6, as we close here in a minute. Behold, I will stand before thee upon the rock, cleft of the rock, in Horeb, or in Oreb, actually, in Oreb, or Oreb. And thou shalt smite the rock with thy staff, and there shall come water out of it, that the people may drink. Now remember, in the Hindu celebration, at the 4-day festival, they touch the goddess, which is the earth, with a large cleft in the rock, right? A yoni, and they drink the water, the dew, the wine, the juice from the spring. This scripture has all of that in there. Smite the rock, touch it with your staff. There shall come water out of it, and the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. Listen, take thy rod and gather thou the people assembly together. Gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock before their eyes. Y'all still with me? And it shall give forth his water. This is our science, family. And thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock. So shalt thou give the congregation and their beasts. Not just the congregation only. Not just the people only, but their beasts also. And you'll probably be able to water. You're in the wilderness, but you have enough in abundance to water plants, to bathe and wash yourself. I'm going to make this plain. The divine, creative, reproductive power of the mouth directly corresponds to the divine, creative, reproductive power of the yoni. Do y'all know what that picture is of right there that I have up on the screen? Anybody want to guess?
Okay, that's the vocal cords.
That's the
Or
vocal
the
cord.
throat.
That look just like the yoni. That look just like the eye. Has the same divine, creative, reproductive power as the yoni. The same light absorbing and light reflecting power of the eye. John 1, in the beginning was the Word was with God. We're familiar that you can make anything with this. That's the vocal cords. That's closed. How many people have heard the saying, a closed mouth doesn't get fed? Speak to the rock. Speak to the rock. Deep science here, family. Concealed, great mysteries. We're going to make it plain in the classes going forward. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth. The yoni can produce seeds and fruit, also juice as well. And with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Remember, Ben-Ami said that we must do what? Combine the four elements to produce an indescribable divine energy, positive power. We have to combine the four senses. They're already combined, but we didn't recognize not only the anatomical relationship, but the energetic relationship as well. Death and life in the power of the tongue. I create the fruit of the lips. Peace, peace, shalom, shalom, to him that is afar off from this knowledge, and to him that is near to this knowledge, saith the Lord, and look, I will heal him. Vocal cords opened, vocal cords closed. But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart. Third element, another element, that thou mayest knoweth, that thou mayest do it rather. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. The heart of the wise teacheth his mouth, and addeth learning to his lips. I'm going to, by virtue of what the ancestors have given me, add learning, family. This is what this is about. Adding learning to this creative process that we must involve ourselves in, that we are involved in. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh. You all already know a part of this scientific process. We're going to perfect your understanding, going to perfect your knowledge going forward. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, with the mouth confession is made unto salvation, unto healing, unto prosperity, unto any and everything that is related to your divine will, purpose, and intent. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let thine heart not be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou upon the earth. Therefore let thy words be few. The word few, family, is the word me'at. Me'at. The root of that is ma'at. Ma'at. We're going to get into this. Great mysteries, great power in understanding this and getting a proper understanding and properly applying our divine science, family. We're just laying the groundwork for this today, leading ourselves into it. Making or letting thy words be few, just to give you a heads up and a preview, is learning how to apply this sigil power, which is the power of holistic expression and divine creative reproductive power. Letting thy words be few. As we close, this is the last scripture verse that I'll give you. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. For their much speaking. We're going to enter this tomorrow, and I'm going to give you the science of how to begin to empower yourself by the use of sigils that was given to us long ago. But it is a very powerful tool. This is how this teaching has come through, how I've raised myself to a higher frequency, to be able to hear our sister and our mother, our divine sister and our mother in her transition, and to then come forth and give this message. It's no mistake. It is no accident. And we can use and should be using this in the same way. But we have to understand ourselves, to understand how we operate, how we are made, how we are wonderfully made, how the foot corresponds to the yoni, and how the yoni, as well as the vocal cords, as well as the eye, as well as the ear, as well as the nose, how all those things must be combined as we have been taught to combine the four elements to take us to a higher realm. And you'll see that I have this laid out for tomorrow relative to the body orifice, that how we have, again, 4 in the head, corresponding to the 4 elements family: sight, hearing, smell, taste. And the combining of the 5 Platonic solids, combining of the 4 elements. The 5 Platonic solids are actually the 4 already combined, getting the 5th. Moving family from the tetragrammaton to the pentagrammaton. Are you all with me? We've talked about this all before. But again, this is just preliminary, laying down the fundamentals. We'll get this video out ASAP. We'll get you the amended notes ASAP. Study to get a baseline understanding of this. Because it's time, family, to utilize everything that we've been given, all of the knowledge that we've been given up to this point, to make this transition from the natural to the organic, from the lower frequency field of dominance to the higher frequency field of dominance, from human to divine. Finally, this is going to be the theme going forward, and it's going to be the theme until we arrive there, until we get there. Are you all with me? With that, I'm going to say wholeness and end this particular portion right here and ask for questions and comments.
I have a comment.
Go right ahead.
First of all, it's just perfectly divine. And then secondly, the flow. So many things have been said, and I just recalled we talked about the dog and the wolf, and you turn them around, the reversal is a God flow.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to mention the flow, because what I'm going to share, 2 personal things, and I'm following the instructions as best I can, but there's something about this flow that's remarkable. So this past weekend, I was given a really blessed opportunity to join a championship over 70 team. I'm great.
Roommate?
Yeah.
Bordeaux?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm good. Yeah. Yes, I was given an opportunity to join a remarkably good over 70 basketball team. And it was a really, I knew I had seen this team perform before. And I didn't realize when I was put on the team, I was the 10th man on the roster. Once someone dropped off and they added me to the roster. We went to Chicago and we won. Of course, I expected the team to win. We won the over 70 portion of the tournament. It was a senior tournament. And this is the beginning. That's the background, but the beginning of my testimony is the remarkable feeling that I had after I had participated on this team. First of all, it was a tremendous sense of fulfillment. The only way I can describe it is this had been ordained for me. It was a fulfillment. I felt such a sense of peace after participating. First of all, you know I love basketball.
Right.
But it was far beyond just basketball.
Hey, Kimpo.
It was a
All right.
sense, it was a sense of destiny that I was doing.
Yeah, I gotta get busy now. Yeah. Hey, well, take care of yourself now. Okay.
Hold on. Hold on, David. Go right ahead. We got some interference.
I was saying I realize now that my calling is to be this senior athlete, that everything else will flow out of it. Everything else will flow. I have been, this is what I'm destined to do. This is what I've been called to do. It was such a perfect sense of, first of all, you know, being a ball player, the team is such a team. It was so great to be a part of the team.
Right.
And then to be the 11th, the last hour, the last one chosen, but to make my contribution. All of it just gave me a sense of fulfillment, a great sense of fulfillment. So I can relate that to the moment that we're in. This is the fruit of that moment that we're in, this sense of fulfillment. And by the way, I took the page from David Hawkins' book, and I've been going over that, the emotions and their connections and all of the connections to the various realms. So now, so that's the first thing. And I can hardly express, do justice to expressing what it really meant to me. But the second thing we'll add, because they're a pair. Last night, after returning from Chicago and the tournament, I lay down and went to sleep, and I had a dream. And I've only had one other dream in my entire lifetime that could match this. At one point, one dream I had, it was raining crystal horses. That's the highest dream I'd ever had, raining crystal horses. But this time, I don't know exactly where I was, but I was somewhere in town walking, and I was anticipating something, and it came upon me, a gaggle of nude girls, women,
Uh-huh.
and it had no sense of lust in it. It had a sense of perfect fulfillment. They
Uh-huh.
came and I said, "You're here. Come and surround me with that energy."
Right. Divine
And
feminine.
the divine, and I heard it when you were talking. This, the sense, now when I talked about the sense of well-being in the basketball situation,
Right.
just magnified it. It was the same sense, but it was made so clear that this was it. This was fulfillment. This
Yes.
was divinely ordered.
Yes.
Everything was in the flow, the absolute flow. And then, as I said, I remember saying, surround me with that energy. And we came together, and someone else was with me experiencing this. And we said, we gotta get out of town and get somewhere in nature because this,
Wow.
there will be the opposing energy
Yes.
here in the city, but we must get that. We must take the sisters into nature, and it was an amazing thing. It was totally male. I mean, I was a male, and they were females, and it was far beyond any. It was highly sexual,
Right.
but it was or sensual, shall we say?
I
But
get
it was
it.
no lust, no iota of lust involved.
Right. Right. I
Uh,
get it.
I recall James Redfield in his series on the Celestine prophecy. In
Yeah.
one book, he was at the city that they had created out of their mind,
Yes.
and he went outside the city. Something led him outside the city, and a couple walked towards each other and came together in a holy embrace. And when they separated, there was a light in the woman's belly. That just reminds me of the highness of
Yes.
this experience. Uh, as I said, that's the sense of fulfillment of my basketball career being fulfilled as a senior, playing on this great team and fitting in and making my contribution and flowing with it, and then that whole sense of fulfillment magnified in this dream. So, and then as I was listening today, and you mentioned the importance of being ready for the coming of the divine feminine, it perfectly illuminated the dream. This is we're in the flow.
Yes, we are.
So the wolf and the dog, those reversals created,
Right.
certainly we've seen the God flow.
Absolutely.
We see it. So that's my sharing.
That's beautiful, though.
So that.
So that. All right. Anybody else? Anyone else? So if you look up on the screen, you're going to see where we're going with this. How we're making these connections. When it talks about the fruit of the womb, blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb. All of this imagery, all of this symbolism, cleft of the rock, the ark, both Noah's ark and the ark of the covenant, is talking about the divine feminine, talking about different aspects of the divine feminine, different functions, aspect, powers of the divine feminine. That's all the entire allegorical narrative of the Bible. Don't look for nothing else. It all centers around this. and we see it reflected in nature. So no more questions or comments. You know, we've laid the groundwork, and this is where we're going to begin our journey. This transition from the natural woman, from the natural man, into the organic divine feminine and the organic divine masculine is going to be, that's where we're going to be for a while. We're going to talk about Jonah and the whale. We're going to go into Psalms. We're going to go into Isaiah, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes. It's all woven throughout the Bible. And once our eyes are open relative to the symbols, we'll be able to see it. And we will be able to decode our science and apply this knowledge as we ascend, as we make this transition. All right? Wholeness and divinity to everybody.
Wholeness and divinity.